morning, everyone, and welcome to Triumph After Trauma. I'm your host, Jordan Elise, and today we have the privilege of speaking with Suyogi Gessner. So Suyogi, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really excited and hope I can contribute a little bit to your beautiful summit.
Absolutely. So we're here on Wisdom Wednesday. You have so much wisdom and advice to offer. So I know you're going to contribute. The summit would not be complete without your expertise. So for those of you listening who aren't familiar with Suyogi's work, she's a certified health practitioner and okay, I might say this wrong, so help me out. And Ayurvedic? Ayurvedic?
Yes.
Okay, Ayurvedic expert and coach. You're the founder of Ashish Transformation, and it's basically a health clinic where you've served thousands of patients. So we'll get into that. A co-founder of Be and Be Happy, which is personally one of my favorite company names I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, it's a very cute name.
It's so cute. So, and Be and Be Happy brings Ayurvedic ancient secrets to happiness seekers around the world. So I'm super excited that you're here because you're considered to be a leading expert in the world in Siddha Veda, which is an ancient healing tradition that dates back to really Buddha, which is incredible. And you have your own healing journey that we're going to talk about. But basically, throughout your life, you've realized that so many emotional blocks come from a disconnection with our hearts. And so today, while you have this medical background and expertise, really we're going to drop into our hearts and talk about the healing of emotional traumas with the power of an open heart. So yes, so if you're listening in and this sounds like something you are just ready and seeking in your life to open your heart and find that healing, we're here to bring it to you. So again, I pronounced it, I think, okay, but...
It was all perfect.
The first question I want to ask for those listening in who aren't familiar with Ayurveda, what is it?
Okay, Ayurveda is actually the most beautiful science of life because Ayur means life and Veda means the science. So what it was all about, we all have a certain period of time here on earth. And as long as we are here, we should really be happy in our body, in our mind, in our emotions, and in our heart and soul. And Ayurveda has a huge system behind because life is actually many times challenging. And what they found out that everything is connected. So nothing you can see separately. So there are everywhere elements, the 6 elements, and they founded a system, and a system where all the elements are combined in a very beautiful way, and it's called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are so-called doshas, and everyone has all 3 doshas, but we are all very individual beings. We are, look, one is always cold, one is always hot. One likes this and the other one doesn't like it. And one can digest food properly, the other one not. So they found out that everyone has a certain individual constitution which stays. But then as long as the elements are in balance, also in nature, like everyone is now talking about, look, the world is now changing, we get it, it will be all, the climate change is happening. So when this is happening, that means there's an imbalance in the earth. The same way there's an imbalance in us. And it can be emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual imbalance. And then usually I was trained traditionally in Siddha Veda, you have to become a pulse reader. Meaning if I touch the pulse of a person, then I can see where the imbalances is. Because the big difference between Ayurveda and the modern medicine is that they are trying to figure out where are the roots. What do I have to do to get back in balance, and not just treating a symptom. And that is actually, and then you also, they knew exactly how the mind is working, how the body is working. What does the mind need? What does the body need? And what does the soul need? And then you get to know yourself in the depths, and you know what to do when the climate is changing, environmental, everything from the outside has an effect on you. What we take in through our senses, for example. And that actually nothing has no effect. Everything has a cause and effect. And that's the beauty about Ayurveda. And then they have this system, like they use beautiful herbs because herbs have divine intelligence. They use home remedies, they use treatments, they use emotional therapies, they use beautiful mama techniques, which is a very cool thing, like there are points on the body. I can show later one for emotional trauma, which directly relates to your brain. Because the brain then in emotional trauma is always like, what's happening with me? And then you get symptoms, right? Mm-hmm. And when you know what to do through diet, through everything, because you cannot have healing just as a single thing. Okay, I choose this method and everything is done. That's not what Ayurveda is teaching. They say you have to become smart to understand your own needs also, what is out of balance, and then get back into balance. And for this, I have figured out all the systems of Ayurveda that people get real results in healing.
That's amazing. So it's a really comprehensive approach. And once once you discover kind of if you're is it Kapha, Pitta, Veda?
It is Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Okay. So once you figure out kind of what you're constituted with, then you work with that, right? Is that right?
Exactly. Absolutely right. Okay. And then sometimes look like when, for example, right now, right, our world is getting information, getting so many inputs through our senses. Mm-hmm. So what is happening in the senses, they're getting overloaded. And that is actually everything. Information, for example, is Vata. Vata is air, okay? Pitta is fire, mm-hmm. and Kapha is water, if you make it very simple. And so everything with air, you know, when I see pulses, and I have seen maybe over 100,000 people one-to-one. So then you get a lot of experience, you know. Yeah. And mainly right now we are living in a world where people are Vata and Pitta dominated. Mm-hmm. So that means they have too much in their head and they are completely disconnected to their heart. Mm. And they want a lot of things, but then they are confused because a block in Vata means confusion. I want to do this, no this, okay, that sounds also great. And maybe I have to do first this. And then this confusion and information gets more and more. And then people don't go until the end. Like, for example, I'm a German, and Einstein used to say that most people never reach their real goals because they stop 1% before they reach the goal, right? Mm-hmm.
I remind myself of that when I want to give up, because we face resistance, and I'm like, I'm 1% away from getting there. Let's go. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is actually the beauty of it, to really understand where you have to start. Like in the morning, I had one patient. I would just like to share a very short example. Yeah. Actually, she has an emotional trauma. And she is a young lady, you know, in the mid 20s. She would like to have a beautiful relationship. And she feels completely anxiety, fear, and depression. That's actually her world. And she has lots of pains, and she is completely without any energy. You know, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. And I know so many of you listening know exactly what Suyogi is talking about right now.
Yeah? And then it becomes more and more. Then you have low sex drive because your libido is not good. You want love. You want a connection. You know, this is what you're thriving for, but you cannot do it. And then, you know, she went to the medical doctor, and he gave her antidepressants. Antidepressiva, yeah?
Yeah.
And the problem is, then she put on weight. Then she got more tired. It helped for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And he said, you have a depression. So he treated her depression, but he did not go deeper into her emotions, that she has an emotional trauma, which is stored in her body. Ayurveda is saying when your whole body is storing, every cell is actually storing that trauma. And then your hormones are getting affected. For example, every hormones are getting affected, and hormones are directly related also to Vata and Pitta. So then you get it, okay? Then if you don't then address, for example, the right diet for a too high Vata, too high Pitta, if you don't take the right home remedies and the right solutions, then it makes you only go into a horrible circle, and there is no healing then. And you feel then extremely more bad because you think it's all my fault. I'm a victim. No one understands me. No one can help me. Something is wrong with me. And then you close your heart more. And then actually so many more symptoms are going to come according what I have seen.
Yeah.
Because people are getting really sick in all directions. And for example, if you are a Vata constitution, then, Vata is telling you exactly in what direction it goes. Like people in olden days, they used to go to see an Ayurvedic pulse healer as early as possible, because he could see your constitution and he was telling you, okay, girl, you have to be aware, please eat the right food, do the right routines, please do the right treatments, take some herbs and get back into your personal individual balance. And then healing was coming step by step. Ayurveda is nothing like a hype, okay, I press a point and that's it. But for example, you need to also understand that emotions, like in Ayurveda, they have a beautiful system. It's called, we have an Agni. An Agni is a digestive fire. You can imagine it's like coals, okay? The enzymes on a barbecue, the coals which are burning.
Yep.
When they are burning beautiful, then you can eat whatever you want and it's getting immediately digested. The cells are getting nourished with so much nutrients, and what the body doesn't need will be eliminated from the system. But the problem is when you have an emotional trauma or when you are imbalanced, and stress, for example, has a direct effect on your digestive fire, then it goes low, okay? And when it goes low, then toxins stay in the body. You feel bloated, for example, you feel heavy, you feel tired, you have digestive disorders and all this kind of stuff. And then you are actually completely trapped and you don't know what to do. And then this is causing harm, and harm means toxins. So toxins stay in your body and in your brain and in your heart. This is then the kind of emotional toxins which block you completely. And then here you are in the nice circle. And no one can really understand you and no one can really help you. And what always fascinated me was, for example, the lineage I'm coming from is, as you said in the beginning, it's going back to Buddha. And he, at that time, he chose a very powerful healer because he wanted him to have a broad, holistic point of view, which includes all the little pieces together. And then he made a lineage, and always he chose his best disciple, and he gave him all the secrets and all the wisdom and really what needs to be absolutely in your abundance and happiness and in a real power of yourself. Because in every one of us, there lies so much power. And for example, the teacher of my teacher, he became 124 years old, or young, he would say. And he was working.
That's amazing.
And his name was Baba Ramdas. And he was not an old guy, okay? He was mentally, physically really fit. And that's so beautiful. And he consciously chose to leave his body because then he said, okay, it's done now, so let's go. And this fascinated me. And it's not a modern hype or something. There is a wisdom of 5,000 years into this science. And what I found very fascinating is that, for example, now modern science like epigenetics or quantum physics find Ayurvedic old scriptures. There's nothing new. It's all there already. So far, I have never seen anything new. And then you see that this has already it's proven, okay, over 5,000 years that it works. And it works for every human being, no matter where we come from. Because in the beginning, they were asking me, but you are from a Western country. This is from India. But that was a science beyond culture. Actually, it's more universal laws brought into a system and into principles. And if you understand, the more you understand the system and the principles, the more success you get.
I love it. And so I'm thinking about those listening who come from the Western world, right? Who have gone to doctors. I know my experience was going to doctors saying, I'm hurting. I have all of these chronic pain conditions, all of these autoimmune diseases. And like you said with the patient, the woman that you treated earlier today, doctors just want to treat the symptoms here.
Exactly.
And and for me so I heard about alternative kind of healing approaches and modalities, but it sounded too good to be true, right? Because I think what we want, right? So what you're talking about, it's like, wow, there's something else out there that can treat me comprehensively, personalized. Like you said, everyone has their own unique pulse that you read. And so everyone's treated differently, which makes intuitive sense to me. But it seems almost like too good to be true. And so I want to dive a little bit deeper into how can Ayurveda really help like people watching heal their emotional traumas. I know you gave the example of the woman that you spoke to earlier, but is this really possible for everyone?
So look, like my teacher, for example, right? He's a very famous teacher and he's also in the US. He's working all over the world. And I am knowing him since 25 years. And that guy has seen 2 million people, okay, pulses. So when you have this is amazing because he needs only, I would say, a few seconds to understand what's going on in a human being. And I have never seen this system failing when you really apply it. Look, what is the problem is that when you have high vata, as I described in the beginning, the confusion and the anxiety and the insecurity is sometimes so high, you know, it feels like you have like an umbrella here, okay? There's like boom, 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 boom. Vata is nervous system, okay? So what does it mean? It means also your nervous system becomes very, let me say, very sensitive, oversensitive. And when this is oversensitive, you also have a sensibility for emotions and everything. And then, for example, especially women, I hear them often, they go into doubts because an imbalance of vata means doubting also because you had this experience, okay? To trust is not there any longer. And trust actually comes from the heart. And that's why I believe it is so important to understand the techniques, how to open your heart. And what is happening actually, it's not the system which is failing, and it is not too good that you can't believe it. It's actually your own unstable mind who brings you into doubts, brings you into, oh no, maybe let's try this. I think this sounds much better. And then, you know, you jump from, this is what I see many times, you jump from one thing to the other. I'm, for example, working since 20 years in my clinic, right? And the interesting thing is that I have seen women coming 20 years ago and they were suffering from many, many conditions, body conditions, emotional conditions. And then they do it for some time, then this happens. They go into wherever the universe carries them. And then after 2-3 years, they come back to me and they say, I think this really, it was my laziness. It was my trauma, which did not allow me to follow the diet instructions because maybe they are not so much fun. I did not follow your advices or I was too tired because your inner enemy is taking over. Yeah, the block is taking over. The emotional block is taking over, and then stopping you from really going until the end. And women and men which are going to the end, because Ayurveda has for every something to offer. Thing is good for everyone. That's actually mainly the problem. And we sometimes think, especially from the hypes from the internet, you know, then it is this diet, next year it's another diet, and then it's this recommendation, and then suddenly look, for example, in Ayurveda since 5,000 years they are using ginger and kurkuma, and now suddenly it's a hype and it's a superfood. But Ayurveda is teaching these are like simple home remedies. It's not it's a superfood, of course,
Yeah.
but it's not the cure for everything. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Yeah. So you need to get the wisdom that how to fit it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have tried also for your online summit to give, because look, if I cannot see the people one-to-one, but because of my experience, I know many things which 101% work. Okay, I just know that.
I love it. 101% of so it's working. I love that.
They really work, right? And I have put it a little bit together that you look, you know, what you need to learn is also to trust the wisdom of your being, to trust the wisdom of your heart. Because what you have to do is, look, when you have a normal woman, when she has an emotional trauma, her vata is all here. And it's usually blocked here. And then that's why she gets all the pains, because pain is vata. She gets all the digestive disorders. This is also vata. She gets sleep disorders, vata.
Wow.
She gets hormonal imbalance, which is vata and pitta, and little bit of kapha. And she gets maybe weight gain, or she gets addictions. This is vata. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It is mainly, I have never, and I have seen really many cases, I have never seen a woman not having a vata imbalance. So if you don't understand anything, then just go and start to drink some herbal teas which are vata reducing, or make your own tea, right? That's why I've given you, or for example, I would like to share really something which works miracles, seriously miracles, and it's so simple. Like, for example, do you know what is ghee?
Ski?
No, right?
No.
Ghee.
Ghee. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, maybe in America you say ghee. In Ayurveda you say ghee. But whatever, however you pronounce it, it's actually clarified butter. Yeah, you have to boil it for a very long time if you do it yourself, from a very high quality grass-fed butter if possible, not something else. And then you become, this is actually in Ayurveda the gold. Okay, it's so healing internally and externally. So what is happening? You have all the time when vata is high, you go into your old programs, okay? Old belief systems. All the time the same and same and same and same thoughts are coming back. And you want to stop them, but you don't know how. And Ayurveda is saying this is a vata imbalance. So first of all, you go away on something is wrong from me. You just have a vata imbalance. When I heard for the first time from my teacher as a patient 25 years ago, oh, you know, it's a vata imbalance, a vata and a pitta imbalance. I said, oh, thank you.
It's like comfort.
So
it's like, oh, it's not, nothing's wrong with me. It's just,
exactly.
It's an imbalance, and we can fix it.
Exactly. You can fix it. And that is so supportive, that thought. I have an imbalance and I can do something for my imbalance. So then, you know, for example, when you have constantly thoughts coming up, actually your vata, when it is imbalanced, it is dry, it is unflexible, it is cold, it is rigid, and it doesn't move. Okay. So this is actually, everyone knows this, how he feels. So what Ayurveda does always the opposite, in a very natural way. Then you take a tablespoon of ghee and you take a little bit of nutmeg. You heat it up and you put it in a little container. And then look, women have the femininity of a woman is on the left side and the male part is on the right side. So usually one part of you, when you check your nose, is closed, right? One is more open and one is more closed. Mine is now the left side. Yeah? I'm giving an interview. This is more my masculine side, you know, I have to do it. Come on, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And the feminine side is more the emotional, the soft side, the heart. So this is right now, I'm not doing this. I'm right now in a doing zone. This is more the masculine side of it. So when then you take a little bit of this ghee, put it in your nose, and then you sniff it up, and then you massage it. And then you do first left as a woman and then right. And then you will immediately, after some time, you feel suddenly, oh, you know, many women tell me also, I feel foggy. You know, I cannot have clear thoughts. You will feel how this clears up your mind and you become more grounded. This is so simple.
Yeah.
But it's all about grounding, you know, because trauma people or emotional traumas, they don't make you grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is such an amazing thing to do. And then the other thing is, look, what did I do with that woman, which I mentioned earlier, right? I gave her first a detox, an Ayurvedic detox.
Mm-hmm.
So an Ayurvedic detox, so far I have not found something more powerful than, I call it the magic mung bean. Okay, the little green bean.
Mm-hmm.
The green bean is something which gives all your doshas, everything in a physical way, which is out of balance, immediately a balance, and which helps the body to get rid of their toxins, to eliminate everything what is inside. Because if you go on a very strict fast and you are very emotional, this is too tough for you. You know, you need something more softer. You should eat something, but you should eat the stuff which helps you very fast that your body gets actually more into balance again. So I gave her very specific things, the mung soup with some green veggies and some quinoa. It sounds very easy, but if you do it for 10 days, for example, you feel like newborn. You see suddenly that your skin becomes better, your eyes are shiny again. So many things are happening and you feel really how you feel light again and your energy comes back. Then you can, for example, you have to do something for your digestive fire, right? Mm-hmm. What I told in the beginning for your acne. Because if your acne is not high, you cannot get rid of your emotional toxins. Then the negativity comes again and again. And what is also extremely powerful, for example, in Ayurveda is that Vata is actually air and ether. So if you, for example, are really having a lot of emotional traumas, then Ayurveda is recommending, if you want it a little bit more soft, but a little bit more intense and opening your heart, then you have to work with sound. Because sound is very, very appealing. Of course, you should not have rock music or something. That's not so appealing, but this is sometimes, this is not for healing, right? It's maybe for fun, but not for healing. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the healing. And what they were suggesting, mostly people have fear and anxiety, which is very high Vata, okay, super high Vata. And there is, for example, a mantra. What does a mantra? They use mantra. And a mantra means something which protects because you repeat it again and again. And that's the real translation of a mantra, man and tra. And what they used to do, because look, your identity which you created, and in Ayurveda it said that no one on this earth has to be a victim. Everyone has the choice and has the power to change that. Everyone. No one, no matter how horrible the trauma was or how horrible what you experienced. And then what happened when you experience something horrible, you make it your identity. Mm-hmm. So Ayurveda is saying you have to make a new identity. And actually you have created a false identity. I am this, I'm that, I'm this. And now the true identity in Ayurveda is I'm a blissful, I'm a peaceful, and I'm a powerful soul. And all the power to change, all the power to create lies within my heart. That's why they're using, for example, and this woman, I gave her a mantra meditation, which I also will share with you guys. Then you can go on YouTube. I created with healing sound and with the right understanding, because it has to go in a certain frequency. You just lie down and you relax and listen to the voice, which has an incredible healing effect. And one mantra which is used for emotional trauma is actually Soham. That means you're creating your new identity. If you want to be love, then you use this Soham as love, or as power, or as conviction, or as whatever you need. But if you use it with the Sanskrit words, the Sanskrit words were used to heal. And that's why they're even more powerful. And then if you do that regularly, like this woman, for example, she was already with me. She said, this has already changed her whole identity. And I gave her, of course, some herbs, because herbs are very important. You know, herbs have a divine intelligence, because Ayurveda knows how to use herbs, which heal your mind, your body, and your soul, which is amazing. I have not seen anything so powerful like herbs. And this is one thing. And the other thing is what I really would like to really emphasize is really work on opening your heart. Understand what is closing your heart, and understand what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel to be love, right? And for this, according my understanding, you need a training.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because so we talk about kind of, you know, even the ghee and the mung beans and these daily practices and the herbs and the tea and the things that people listening can implement starting now in their own lives. But even yes. So, by the way, if I were to have heard this even a few years ago, I would have, if you're sitting in a position where you're like, how can that help me? Okay. You're also probably in a position where you've tried everything else. Yeah. And why the hell not? Like, I mean, you know, excuse my language, yeah. but why not? Because it's healthy, exactly. It's natural. And if Suyogi and I truly trust and believe in this practice, it's like investing in yourself and being curious and exploratory. It's worth it. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you know, like, for example, as I said, right, when you travel with my teacher all over the world, right, and you see so many different cultures, so many different people, and if you hear the healing stories of these people, then you just cry, okay? Yeah. Because this is so in all ways. For example, my own husband, he has multiple sclerosis, and he has the worst form of it. And actually 8 years ago, the doctors told him, okay, that's it. You will be in a wheelchair. You will be a vegetable. I mean, what kind of language they even used, right? And I told him, no, you are not going to be in a wheelchair. It was a challenge because, of course, you are emotionally much more entangled because it's your husband. You get fear immediately, right? But then I applied the same principles of Ayurveda on me and on him. And I can really say I always told him, you will get because MS is, when the brain is overloaded, look, in the future, there will be much more MS patients, much more Parkinson, much more dementia and all this, because we are not knowing any longer how to balance ourselves. And my husband was working for an American company. They are not very nice to their employees.
No, they're not. We need those European breaks. You all
exactly.
go on holiday for like 3 months, it feels like sometimes. Not really.
Yeah, I know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and I told him, you know, if you follow this American system of being a slave of your mind, of your timetable and everything, you will get a Vata disease. And then that happened. And right now, this is 8 years now he's diagnosed, and actually the doctors have no cure for this kind of MS. and all his symptoms they are not gone. I'm not telling about a magical cure, okay? It's hard work. But 80% of his symptoms, they have disappeared. And he is so much more happy.
I have chills, y'all. Oh, that's beautiful. That's incredible.
Yeah, and this is only one example. So I could share with you millions of examples, okay, no matter, because this is like my daily bread. And to see my heart is always so happy if only one person is cured. And for example, the reason why I wrote this heart journal here, it's actually because I wanted to bring some of this wisdom into it. And you know, as we were talking in the beginning, you said if your online summit only affects one person, that he is really has some solutions. I'm not talking that he should have my solutions, because this is Ayurveda combines everything. It's not a competition. Mine is better or not. It's about what works, right? And there was a mother. She's my patient, right? And I have not done any advertisement or anything. I thought the book will find their way. And she gave it to her young daughter who was sexually abused and who was in a clinic. And they treated her for psychosis. I don't know this girl, okay? I have never seen her.
Yeah.
And it was really serious because she wanted to commit suicide and all this kind of stuff. And she was a young girl, just 18 or 19. So the mother saw the book lying here in the waiting room. And then she decided, okay, why not? Let me give it to her. And she was overloaded, tired and everything. And then she said, leave me alone. I have enough. Everyone tries to cure me. Everyone tries to give me advices. Just leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And she left it there. But then a week later, she opened it because there are also some wisdom stories in it. And really how you can use your senses in a slow process. For example, from seeing only negative to see love. From hearing only negative to hear love. And I don't know what happened. I have still not met her, but that made me so happy. That girl wrote me a letter 2 months later. And she said, look, I was in a hospital. I tried so many things, but somehow the sweetness and the wisdom of that book something clicked inside of me. And I really did it. And her mom showed the book to me. She painted, she was writing, she was rewriting her story. There are many little things which you can apply, and if you and she worked with that. And she said, suddenly I felt that this dark curtain of horror just lifted. And I feel so much more grounded. And now she's open. And now the healing journey can continue until she becomes the most beautiful woman. And what more to do? It's so beautiful.
So beautiful. So, I mean, for those of you listening, you probably know and understand intimately and deeply how your own traumas have affected your heart. And I mean, I know for myself, I walked around for 10 years just guarded, feeling unsafe, not trusting myself. And so this is really a practice that can start to open your heart. And so, Suyogi, for those listening, how can they start to dive into this on a daily basis even? I know you said getting a teacher is helpful, or as you noted, your book, but for those looking to really start to peel back those layers and reopen their heart, what advice do you have?
Look, what I really, really recommend is, look, they should really download this paper for free, right? Which I created specially for
you. We will get to your free gifts at the end. Yes. I'm so excited.
But in there, for example, there are what I mentioned, right? If you just start to do this several times a day, that you put that home remedy in your nose and you just go to your heart and you just breathe into your heart and remember this, what I said, that my actual identity, because this is what Ayurveda is teaching, that everyone has that power. My actual identity is a blissful state, is a happy state, is a clear state. and not this guarded and always in, oh, what's happening to me, resistance and rejection. Oh God, this person likes me and doesn't like me, and all this kind of stuff. And then everyone should really consider at a certain when it fits to them, they should really do maybe 1 day, 3 days, 5 days Mung fast. This is a powerful thing to do. I do this, look, when I started 25 years ago, when I get to know as a patient Ayurveda, my teacher, he put me on a very strict fast. He said, first of all, we need to get rid of their toxins. And it was not nice, to be honest.
It sounds uncomfortable. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, when's the last time I fasted?
But look, the beauty of Ayurveda is it's not fasting. You still eat, but you eat only what is balancing you, right? And so you can still have veggies, you can still have a certain kind of carbs, but only the healthy ones, which what you have to understand, most people, they either have pain or they have digestive disorders with traumas, or they get autoimmune disease. So what I got was rheumatoid arthritis. I was pain all over the body, and I had a thyroid, which many women have, thyroid imbalance, right? Hypothyroid. And for this, for example, it's very important, and Ayurveda is teaching this since so many years, that you can't have wheat, for example. You should avoid wheat, and you should avoid white sugar. So, you know, wherever you are in your journey, you can start with something. So, and I put it all together, actually home remedies for balancing your emotions, right?
Yep.
And these are very simple proven things, like get some ginger powder, some fennel powder, mix it all together. I gave the whole recipe, and then have it in a glass of water. Or, for example, what is very important to open your heart is that in the morning, I do this since 25 years. And only sometimes when I cannot do it, then I feel the difference. You know, when Vata is up, it needs to be grounded. You need to go to your heart. And this connection doesn't work, right? And that's why you need to nourish it again. It's all about nourishing. And for example, in the morning, you can take 1 glass of hot water. Everyone has it at home. You take 1 teaspoon of ghee, of this clarified water, and then you put in 1 pinch of cardamom. Cardamom you get everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is cooling because, you know, pitta comes up. You get sometimes so agitated. You have you get so desperate, you know, full of, wow, I want to punch someone or whatever. And that is actually calming, you know, or that you want to go into actually, as with the drama, you always, at a certain point, everyone wants to go into revenge or has many questions, why me? And that's why you need some calming energy. And this very simple recipe is giving you calming energy. And imagine if you combine several puzzle pieces, and then maybe you do a different therapy, or you do this, and you combine some Ayurvedic wisdom into it, then you get your own ritual. And very important is that you have to learn, this is Ayurveda is saying always, and this is a rule for everyone, you need to learn how to train your mind and make your mind your master and not being a slave of your negative thoughts and of your traumatic thoughts. Yeah. And this is something
That's what I tell all of my clients. I'm like, the first thing, we got to manage your mind.
Yes, exactly. And this is also the ancient science, which is proving this. You know, the beauty is, if you look at the modern science, they have so many complicated things, and they had it all already there. When you have an emotional trauma, you have to learn how to train your mind. So if you start with your coaching with that, and this is something I would really say from my experience, don't expect a mind to surrender after a very short process. It's a hard training, it's a long training, and it is a continuous training. And you cannot give up. And it does not mean that the method is not working. It means that we went back into our comfort zone and we became lazy and we became desperate again. And that's actually the trick of the mind. So the mind is the most powerful thing. And you know, mind and brain and heart are connected according Ayurveda.
Mhm.
There are the so-called 7 wisdom drops in your heart. It's a very beautiful picture. And
That's
everyone gets 7 drops in their heart. And the 7 drops, you have to take care of them. And there's also one part of this: don't waste your drops through your destructive thoughts. Yeah, you have to learn how to switch into nourishing and beautiful and healing thoughts, which actually also calm down that you lose it. Because when that 7 drops is done, your life is done.
wow.
So you cannot waste it. And if you have the Ayurveda is working with a lot of pictures also, which makes it very, very clear. So then if you know that, you become more aware and you become more careful and you become more, okay, no, I am going to do it. Every day you have to decide again that you want to do it. And I want to balance myself. I want to balance my body, my mind, and my soul.
Because for those of you listening, you're worth it. Like this intentional living, like you are so worth it. This is I believe it's your
Exactly.
birthright to live in a place.
Exactly.
Exactly. So thank you, Suyogi, for this wonderful wisdom you've shared. And I noted we were going to share your free gifts. So the time has finally come.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put together powerful daily routines for an open heart. So for those of you
Yes.
listening and you're wondering, okay, this is a little out there, I don't know where to start, this is the perfect place to start. So I believe you're listening in for a reason. So please take full advantage of
Yes.
the beautiful gift that Suyogi crafted below. Download it and reach out to myself, reach out to her if you have any questions.
Yes, all the time. Look, whenever you have any questions, just mail me. I'm answering every email.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you, Suyogi, for your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay.